Hi all, so today's worksheet looked like this, okay? So what I am going to do is I'm only going to go over questions 1, 9, and 13 because I told you guys that 1 through 8 are the same, and that's solving by factoring. 9 through 12 are the same, and that's GCF. And then 13 through 15 are the same, and that's difference of 2 squares, okay? So, factoring, I'm going to do each numbers 1, 9, and 13 for you, kind of just so you can have an example of each, and then we'll go from there, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and shrink this and start doing number 1, okay? So I'm going to do one of each kind, like I said. So with number 1, we have x squared plus 10x plus 13 equals 4. My first step is always to get it in standard form. With all 15 of these, you always need to get it into standard form, and this is what standard form looks like. So the big idea here is to get the right side of the equal sign to be 0, okay? So in number 1, to get that right side to be 0, I'm going to subtract 4 from each side. And here, I put it under the 13 because those are like terms, okay? So then I'm going to go ahead and just bring everything down. X squared plus 10x plus 9 equals 0, okay? Because 13 minus 4 is 9. And now that I have standard form, I'm going to go ahead and list my A, B, and C. So A equals 1, B equals 10, and C equals 9. All right? My next step is to go ahead and find the factors of 9. In this case, we have a positive 8 times C and a positive B, so I only need to list the positive factors of 9. And those are my 2 sets. Okay? Then I'm choosing which factor equals 10. That's an easy one. Those add up to 10. And remember, when A is 1, all you have to do is draw your parentheses, okay? And when A is 1, we could also put an X in the beginning of each parenthesis, okay? So this is when A equals 1. Okay? You can do this. Then I'm just going to show you so you can use that. Then what you're going to do is you're going to plug your factors that you chose in. So in this case, I chose 1 and 9. So I'm going to go ahead and plug those into here. All right? And now here we have the zero product property rule. And what the zero product property rule states that if I have 2 parentheses that are equal to 0, I could set them both up to 0. Okay? I would subtract 1 from both sides, subtract 9 from both sides. And on one side, I'm left with x equals -1. This is just a one-step equation. That's why I'm going pretty quick through them. And on the right side, x equals -9. So those are your 2 answers. So what I want you to just go ahead and do is give a circle for whichever answer is right, okay? Now, on the color by number, what you would do is if you want to do that for extra credit, because that is extra credit, you would color all number 1s light blue, okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and do number 9 now. So if you need to wait and pause, you could do that as well, okay? So number 9 states that x squared plus 7x equals 3x. So my first step is to make sure that that 3x on the right side becomes 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract it from both sides. Now notice again how I put it right under my like term, okay? Now this is a GCF one, okay? So when you don't have an A, B, and C, always look for your GCF because it will make it better, okay? It'll make it much easier for you. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look for my GCF. Technically, there's a 1 in front of this x, so I know I have to find all the factors that match up to be 1 and 4, and what's the greatest common factor that those 2 have. Now, 1 only has 1 as a factor, so I know that pretty much it's going to be 1, okay? But I also have to remember that both terms have an x, so an x comes out as well, okay? Then I need to figure out what do I need to multiply 1x by to get 1x squared, and I know that's just x. Then what do I need to multiply 1x by to get 4x? Here we already have an x, so I just need it to be 4. Don't forget to equal it to 0, okay? Now, you have your factor GCF out here, okay? And you have the parenthesis. So, just because there aren't 2 parentheses does not mean you do not equal them to 0. This is still the zero product property. Okay, that's still the zero product property. So once we're at the zero product property, that means I could set both things equal to 0. So I'm going to set 1x equal to 0, and I'm going to set x plus 4 equal to 0. So I'm setting 1 and 2. All right? Then on the left side, in order to get x by itself, I need to divide by 1, okay? And 0 divided by 1 is just 0, so x equals 0 is your first answer. Then on the right side, I need to subtract 4, and x equals -4 is your other solution. So on number 9, your answer will be dark blue, okay? I'm just gonna make some more room and do number 13, okay? So now I'm looking at 13. So this was GCF. This was factoring. And the next one is going to be difference of two squares, okay? So I start with x squared minus 61 equals 20, all right? So this does not look like my standard form yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and subtract 20 from both sides. Notice how I'm putting it under the like term. I have x squared minus 81 equals 0. Now, here is where you have to ask yourself these 3 questions. Do these involve perfect squares? Are 1 and 81 perfect squares? Yes. Is there a subtraction sign? Yes. And is there an exponent? Yes. So I know that these are a difference of 2 squares, okay? And remember, the difference of 2 squares formula is so. Okay, so this is important to remember, all right? So if we remember how to do difference of 2 squares, you're going to take the square root of each term. So I'm going to take the square root of 1x squared. And the square root of x squared, the x just pops out, okay? And don't forget to write it squared, all right? I'm going to keep my negative sign. And then what is the square root of 81? I know that's 9, but I'm going to keep my squared, and I'm going to keep it equal to 0. Why I'm keeping them squared is because I want this to look like a squared minus b squared. I want this to look like so, okay? So now that I've done this, I now have a and b because this looks like a squared minus b squared, okay? So a is x and b is 9. So then what I'm going to do is now that I have a squared minus b squared, I just need to put it in the form as so. So x plus 9, x minus 9. Don't forget to keep it equal to 0, okay? Now, we are here is the zero products property, okay? So what I do with the zero product property is I could set both x plus 9 equal to 0 and x minus 9 equal to 0, and then just solve. So minus 9, x equals -9, and then plus 9, and x equals +9. And my answer would be, where am I? My answer would be dark green, okay? And this would be considered diff of 2 squares. So that's how you do those. So you'll do, this will be 13 through 15. This will be 9 through 12. And this one will be 1 through 8. All right? All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Due tonight.